Is that a project where I'm investing only $10,000? Yes, I'm making 20 on the 10,000, but I'm making 20 only on 10,000. Maybe the project with the 10 is a project where I'm investing 100,000. I'm making only 10, but I'm making 10 over a project that is 10 times bigger. So IRR does not know anything about the scale of the problem. If the scales are wildly different, doesn't even have to be wildly. IRR is not useful in making decisions and can sometimes will conflict with NPV decisions. Using that example, 10% IRR on a 100,000 project without even thinking about it is going to make more money in NPV terms compared to 20% IRR project with only 10,000 investment. This kind of highlights the fourth rule that we use, or fourth property that we wanted. We want to have an idea about how much value is added to the firm. IRR cannot provide that to you. All IRR tells you that it adds value. That's it. Nothing else. We're going to have similar issue with PI, which, as you know, we can easily calculate as 1 plus NPV over cost of investment. In fact, we already have all the inputs we need. Pi. Come on. Take the NPV, divide that by cost of investment, plus 1. PI is not affected by whether or not cash flows are conventional. Decision rule is simple. Standalone, except if PI is greater than 1. Reject otherwise. Mutually exclusive. Accept the project with highest PI, provided it is greater than 1. As a kind of a measure of return, PI is a little bit better. It basically says, per dollar of investment, how much I'm getting back. Okay? But just like IRR, PI by itself does not tell you anything about the scale of the project. So when the projects are mutually exclusive, you're in the same bind as IRR. Let me briefly introduce the payback period. Let's spend more time on this with the template. It basically asks how long does it take to recover the investment. And we're going to build that very quickly. First, I'm going to do something called a running cash flow. Yes. That's the first one. And let's leave it at that for now. We're going to kind of look at it. At in what years I get into a positive cash flow. Again, we're going to use some, when I'm doing the template, I'm going to actually let the formatting immediately tell you in what years, but not today. In year 7, right? Uh, so I'm going to be get paid sometime during year 7. Since we don't have details about uh, how that cash flow comes during the year, we're going to act as if that happens uniformly. So payback period would be, so this is cash, let's do this, last deficit. So let me fix these numbers. So at the end of year 6, I still had 42.74 to collect. Cash in pay year. $523. Oh no, not 523. 47.97. Let's prorate that. What portion of the 7th year I need to get that money? That means my payback period is cancel. Year 6 plus that. So in this specific example, I get my money back in 6.9 years. That's my payback period. Oddly enough, this number is used quite a bit, and it does not satisfy any of those 4 properties that we wanted. A, it doesn't use all the cash flows. Whatever happens after year 7, payback period doesn't care. Maybe there were negative numbers. We don't know. It obviously doesn't do any time value of the money, doesn't do anything about risk, and it doesn't even tell me how much value is added to the firm. We're going to talk about why it's still being used in the next class. But despite that, it's been around. One of the most important, one of the most desirable things about payback period, it's easy to calculate and communicate to people. People understand that. We can do something about risk and time value of the money. We can calculate something called discounted payback period, which means for each period, we first calculate the present values and calculate payback periods for those present values. Decision rule is also somewhat uh, arbitrary. Firms come up with a cutoff period. Projects that pay faster than the cutoff I accept it. So a firm says, okay, whatever you do, if the project pays itself back in 2 years, go ahead. This sort of stuff is actually useful in an organization that is nationwide. I'm the head of GE. I don't want to think too much about what they're going to do in the Milwaukee office for a $5 million project. Me knowing about it probably will cost me $1 million. So I tell them, do whatever you want. If you get our money back in 2 years, you go ahead. It helps with low cost and short term projects. Again, with uh, mutually exclusive, choose the fastest payment, provided it would have been accepted by itself. As you guess, payback period again doesn't know anything about the scale of the project, so it suffers from the same issue with IRR and PR. All right. There is okay. I'll talk about that next time. There is something we can do about IRR when cash flows are not conventional, but we'll address that during the template. All right. It's called modified IRR. You basically modify the cash flows so that they become conventional. Then you calculate an IRR for that. I'll see you guys on Wednesday.